Hey guys, Shishnaz here. We're back again with another Then and Now video. So for this video, we're going to focus on Deshawn, a character I have had for about 3 years now. I know these first couple of videos have been about characters I've had in high school, but for the next one, I'm going to focus on a character I've had since middle school and has managed to stay around from middle school all the way through high school and into my college years. So, unlike Dex, who only went through a visual change and a character change, and her general story remained the same, Deshawn went through 2 total story redesigns. Since the 2 of them were pretty important in his development, I decided that why not do the both of them. So for the first one, Deshawn was a soldier who served death. That's right. Death was a character in this story. Deshawn basically served her by destroying evil spirits and helped bring good spirits to the gate, which supposedly led to something on the other side, but no one knew what it could possibly be. You know, who knows what it could possibly be? Heaven? But anyway, this soldiers comprised mostly of people who had unfinished business or lived in guilt due to their crimes that they had committed when they were alive. So supposedly Deshawn had gotten into some bad business when he was alive and ended up getting his sister killed before he died as well. Overall, it sounded like a very simple premise. It's just a boy trying to pay for his guilt by killing evil spirits as payment for his wrongdoings. And, it could be a nice, simple short story or animation or something like that. Except my edgy teenage ass couldn't handle a simple plot. So I had to go and make it difficult. Instead of just death, I also made good, evil, and life also characters. Good and evil were in a constant battle, as well as death, for some reason, not happy with evil, because evil messed with her undead soldiers. Because death has to be on the side of good, right? Even though death has always been sort of a neutral party. And you know how Deshawn mourned his sister and felt guilt? Yeah, that's gone. Now he's an evil spirit who was Death's. He was an evil spirit and turned into one of Death's soldiers unwillingly because he had killed his sister, who was also Death's soldier. What is plot? What is it? Then he meets a spirit named Pilar, and suddenly romance makes him good. Until Pilar is killed by evil, so now he's sad forever. The end. Needless to say, it was not a good story. There's other stuff involved in the story too, but to keep this video from dragging on for 5 more minutes, I'm just gonna sum it up here. So basically, after a certain extent, I realized the story was just awful, and I just ended up trashing it all together. I did, however, keep Deshawn and some of the other characters like Pilar, as I had grown close to them, and I wanted to keep them around. So I ended up putting them in a second story that was sort of slice of life-esque. It was about a ghost named Dimitri who wandered our high school. He had been lynched in the 50s, and his soul wandered because he wasn't able to say goodbye to his lover. He couldn't move far from his grave, and the school had been built directly over his grave, so that's why he was just stuck in the school in general. The only person who could see him was the new transfer student that came in, Deshawn, and the reason being that he could see him is the ghost turns out to be his uncle, which is why he can see him. Everybody can see their dead relatives' ghosts, why not? Overall the story's fine. It was just gonna be about the ghost and teen romance. It would have been fine if it wasn't for the fact that I legitimately cannot stand writing slice of life stories. Even with the paranormal aspect of the ghost, I was just bored out of my scope with the story. I wanted to make more action-oriented stories with fantasy or sci-fi settings. real life was just boring for me to write. Keep in mind, there's nothing wrong with slice of life. I enjoy reading or watching it, but they're just not something I enjoy or want to write. Eventually, I ended up trashing that story as well. Still, I kept to the characters in that one. Still. Eventually, Undertale came out, and I started thinking about monsters and monster-human relationships, and thus, my current story featuring Deshawn bloomed forth. Deshawn is now a half-human, half-monster being called a Golden, and he lives with his uncle, which again is Dimitri, but human this time. Dimitri's a guardian, which is basically a being who protects the veil, a spell that disguises monsters as humans so that monsters and humans can live peacefully together without killing one another. Deshawn is currently trained to become a guardian just like his uncle and protect the veil. I definitely like this new design compared to the other two. Compared to the first one, in which Deshawn was originally African. He wasn't African American, he was just straight up African. The original was just very stereotypical, because my sophomore year's self apparently couldn't handle just looking up traditional African clothing, and was just like, oh yes, so tattered clothes and a skull are exactly what an African would look like. It was a poor, very, very poor decision on my account, and I still regret it to this day. Not to mention the original one's personality was just like, I just turned him from like a complex character aware of what he is wrong learning into a flat, I'm evil and mad all the time. So that was also very stereotypical of me. My apologies. The second one was fine, but I felt like the haircut was, I like cool looking hair, and I felt like the haircut was just slightly basic, so I wanted something that was like a little more unique. So I made his hair like sort of an afro short-haired fusion. Personality-wise, the new one has is like a lot more fun and relatable, especially to me, than the other two. The first two were just like generally grumpy all the time, and there wasn't really anything else to their personality. This new one, he's just generally shy and anxious, like just trying hard not to let people get too close to him. But once you do manage to break that shell, he's just a general goofball altogether. So overall, I really, really like this new design the best out of the three. And I believe that is it for our second Then and Now video. Please give a like if you liked it, and if you have any comments or critiques, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. In the next video, again, we'll be focusing on a character I've had for much longer than Dex or Deshawn. So until then, bye-bye!